Welcome to Oulton Park. It's round 8 of 9 for the 2017 championships, and this is all to play for. It's the Sparklight Racing, Golden Era Supersport, and the steel frames are included here. When I say it's all to play for, that is an understatement. What a championship this is turning into, and a few faces just to bring to your attention as well. This is the man that leads overall. Sorry, no it isn't. It's his brother. There is the man that leads the championship overall, Richard Harrison, number 4. Coming into this round, he has a 5-point lead over Luke McRae, number 16. But Rob Goodall is back, number 5, and he is only 40 down on Richard Harrison at the front as well. So there's all sorts going on. Into turn 1 though, it is number 6 that has the early lead. That is Andrew Windsor, who's back as well. Now he was the reason why Rob Goodall wasn't out in Anglesey. So the good friends are out there. Rather interestingly, despite being very good friends, Andrew Windsor could actually take points off his mate Rob Goodall here and affect his championship. But hey, a brilliant championship that it has been so far, and all to play for. Unless something remarkable was to happen here today, this is going to the final round at Donington Park. There is Luke McRae, second in the championship, yellow bike, number 16, with it all to do. Now, I mentioned Richard Harrison's brother is out there, number 49, same coloured machine. Former champion, of course, with us. Don't forget, he won the very first Thundersport 500 championship. Number 1 there, Mark Biswell, in a field with 4 former Thundersport champions. Jonathan Harrison, as I mentioned. Mark Biswell, you just saw there with the number 1. Rob Morby, of course, number 53. And Brad Davey as Street Fighter C champion. Back in the day, as here we see Harrison there just challenging Mark Biswell. Sid, it's been a fascinating season this, toing and froing. We've got 3 riders at the moment that could still win the championship, and you wouldn't really want to put money on any one of them at the moment. And we had 2 riders earlier in the year that could have won it and dropped out, Helliwell and Darnell. I mean, it's all over the place.
Unbelievable. I mean, last year we did Dave and I did a feature on budget racing, and this was one of the classes that we featured, where you could, because these are great bikes. I mean, particularly in the Supersport, the R6, the same one as you rode basically in 2003, 2 and 3,
yeah.
And it was, it's still a fantastic bike now, and a good rider on one of these bikes would do still quite well in our current 600 Sportsman Elite, and in fact we have had 1 or 2 do exactly that. But yeah, really, really close. It's been fabulous, and it still is. It's just great racing, you know. Everybody's really picked up the baton.
Well, you just saw their orange bib. That was number 141, Andrew Batner, fondly known now as Batman. Changed classes, first time out on a Supersport, Golden Era Supersport bike. A bit of a step up, especially at a place like Oulton Park as well.
He's a bit nervous coming here because, as you know, it's very highly technical, this circuit, and it is quite a big step up for him.
I'll be honest, when I first raced around here, I wasn't a big fan. I mean, it's a great circuit, and I loved riding it. I didn't like racing it because it is so fast around here. And you have to really go for it to get anything out of the bike. As we look here at Luke McRae, his bike looks a bit battered and bruised at the front, but the most important thing for him at the moment, he's ahead of this man on circuit, number 4, Richard Harrison. Double points on offer here across these 2 races, crucial for the championship, and out leading at the moment is a rider that we see pop in and out of this championship from time to time, Andrew Windsor. He's up there ahead of his mate Rob Goodall, who returns having missed a round. So he's relinquished his lead in the championship, he's lost it, he's 40 down, with some catching up to do here today ahead of our final round at Donington. So this really could be very fascinating indeed.
He's got some catching up to do on track as well. Did he get a really bad start there?
I think Andrew Windsor's just blasted it away from the gates, and we shouldn't forget that for those of you watching as Carl Vickers just gets overtaken there into turn 1, you can see on the screen a few damp patches here at Oulton Park as well. That suits some riders better than others. Some it doesn't affect at all, and Andrew Windsor obviously couldn't care one bit about that. There is Rob Goodall. I suppose the important thing for him there, Sid, is that he's ahead of these 2. Look, Richard Harrison and Luke McRae What has happened? The front fairing there of Luke McRae is rather unique, isn't it?
He's probably gone and got one of those new. Somebody told me that they'd come up with a modified air intake, but
no, that's just actually a
I
piece
see.
of his front
That was a
fairing
lump. Oh, yeah.
missing. I mean, I don't think that's going to be a technical advantage in any way.
Unless he likes his handlebars straight. Do you remember old Baz Teasdale? Not the Baz Teasdale of more of late, but back when you used to race Barry Teasdale from Blunderston, he used to love his old handlebars right out there, didn't he?
Sit up and beg.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, some riders might. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see whether there's something behind
well,
that.
of course, if it goes to technical control and it fouls the fairing, it will get a fail. So he's probably took the chop round, chopped a lump out of it, so that goes through tech control.
At the moment, no one can catch Andrew Windsor here. He's on a flyer. Across the line he goes. He's into the 48s comfortably at the moment. I can tell you, he's only a few tenths off the lap record. And that is not bad considering the conditions that we've got here.
I mean, it is damp. Jonathan Harrison, is he the one who's the Steelsport record holder for round here?
No. That's actually, you might be right. Oh, I see John Harrison written down in the programme.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. Yeah,
maybe. Well, I can't even remember that. Yeah, he must have had a little play out last year. Jonathan Harrison doesn't race with Thundersport very often. He races from time to time. At the moment, of course, he's here supporting his brother. I can't imagine for 1 minute that Jonathan would think about taking points off his brother when his brother is...
Might be his wingman, though.
Well, it could be. Yeah, Maverick and Goose out on circuit.
Yeah.
Here's Sam Nicholson further back.
No, they were in the same plane, Steve.
Oh, sorry. Still a wingman, though.
No.
Wasn't it?
No. The wingman is in the other plane.
Ah, of
sitting
course.
back of your wing, you see.
Yes. Right, well, there you go. I'll stick to bikes.
Looking after your rear, in other words.
Oh, yeah.
Takes all sorts, Steve. Anyway,
here is number 12, Ian Lawton, out there. Haven't mentioned him so far, from Blythe. He's having a good run out. But up the inside there goes Richard Harrison charging. He's got past his championship rival and looks to open up a gap. Now, this is significant as well. You're looking here at number 65, David Langley. Now, in the Steelsport Championship, John Wright came into this one with a comfortable advantage. But he crashed his motorcycle in an event at Darley Moor in the lead up to this round, and he's here with...
I don't know if it was Darley Moor or whether it was NG,
someone
but
else.
it was last weekend anyway.
Well, either way, he's turned up with a pot.
Yeah, or we call it a plaster cast down this part of the world, but up north, a pot on arm.
Well, either way, he's got a broken arm. He's riding round at the moment, trying to just score as many points as possible, because obviously the steel frame, we only have 7 or 8 entries. So he knows that if he sees the checker flag, they're precious points. But he comes in knowing that he is going to lose ground to this man you're looking at, number 65, David Langley. And with double points on offer as well, the gap could come down, and David Langley might just find himself in a position to fight for the championship.
Just a matter of interest, great onboards here from Carl Vickers. Thank you very much. Both front and rear, which... really helps our production company enormously to be able to put together overtake manoeuvres and everything else. Brilliant, thank you.
Yeah, they are pretty clear, aren't they?
Yeah,
those,
amazing.
pictures as well, which is nice to see.
I could tell by how many gigabytes they were going to be good when they arrived.
There you see Jonathan Harrison, and at the moment, Richard Harrison, up ahead of number 12. Oh, that's going to confuse me throughout the day, isn't it? Jonathan and Rich being out there. At the moment, crucially, Ian Lawton has got his nose in between the two championship rivals. As we said, with double points on offer, important stuff this. There is Jonathan Harrison, number 49, and Rob Morby, both of them former champions, and both on 500s. The senior champion there, Rob Morby, up behind Jonathan. So they will have raced each other
Rob's
at one
had
point.
a bit of a renaissance this year, back to where I figure he should be. I mean, he's been on the podium a couple of times now as well. This may not be his favourite circuit. You kind of half expect him to do well at Donington, don't you? But we'll see. I think he's got a few trick bits on his bike now, so Well, it'll be interesting to see how he goes at Donington.
Andrew Windsor there could afford a massive look over his shoulder. His good friend and third in the championship, Rob Goodall, is currently second.
Yeah, but I can't see him.
He's definitely there. It's just that Windsor's got a huge lead. This is the scrap here between 65 and 87. That's David Langley and Carl Vickers, who we were on board with a while ago. David Langley out there on the steel frame. And here is Windsor again. He's having a look over his shoulder.
Can't believe it, that's why.
Well, maybe there was a game plan for him to allow his mate through, but he can't see him at the moment.
It's not a Sparklight bike he's on there, is it? Sparklight colours, isn't it?
Maybe. There is Goodall. It looks similar, doesn't it? But there's your race leader anyway. And here is Rob Goodall in second. He's got to finish ahead of Richard Harrison, who incidentally has just put in the fastest lap of the race. 48.290. That is just over a tenth down now on the class lap record held by Chris Helliwell, last year's champion.
Yeah, well done. Again, like we say, I mean, these are less than ideal conditions. I don't know where these lap records are coming from, or near lap records.
Last year's champion, Mark Biswell, number one. Windsor here is just starting to cruise around a bit. Still having good looks over his shoulder as he heads over Deer Leap and across the line once more. Will he have another look over his shoulder when he exits turn one? Here is Goodall.
Is he drawing up on... Actually, is Goodall drawing up on Andrew Windsor?
Might just be a bit here. Here is Harrison, still in third place with Luke McRae, the yellow bike there in fifth. So Harrison would be on for 32 points.
No, it's not a Sparklight bike, by the way. Just look, it's the same colours, that's what
it is
just
the same,
drew my
yeah,
attention.
the sort of burgundy and white colour scheme. There's number 31, a bit further back. Steve Chadwick, the privately run Yamaha. Windsor, look at him. He's having a good look over.
And he'll have just missed seeing Rob there, actually. But it was just before, they weren't in the same shot, Steve, and it just makes me think that Andrew Windsor has rolled off a touch and Rob Goodall is still flat stick.
Thing is, I mean, look, at the end of the day, these guys all go out there to race, but when they're such good friends and Windsor doesn't have a chance of finishing in the top 3 or 4 of the championship, you would think maybe there would be a game plan there, but maybe not.
I don't think those guys... I don't think they're that type of people. I think that they're ready to help. I think they'd spend all night building each other's bikes up, but out on the track, it's the best man wins, and fair play, very sportsmanlike. I don't think that they would actually do that as it happens.
Well, Rob Goodall...
They could do it if they want, but...
Rob Goodall is reeling in Andrew Windsor here. Across the line we go. The last lap flag is out. So what happens here? Does it stay as it is?
They're in the same shot every time now. Look, definitely.
Oh, this is crucial. Luke McRae, number 16, has got past Ian Lawton. That will be really important. Can he close now down on Richard Harrison?
It's amazing, isn't it, Steve? Like, this top 4 is where, well, the top 3 of the top 4 is where it's all happening in the championship. You know, with Rob Goodall, Richard Harrison, Luke McRae, who's second, third and fourth at the moment now.
You've got to believe if Andrew Windsor was a permanent part of this championship, he'd have something to say in this.
He's fast boy, isn't he?
He is fast. He was fast a few years back, wasn't he, in Golden Era Superbikes on that Suzuki as well. Yeah. He's a quick rider. Sam Nicholson again. He's got front row seats there of that battle between David Langley and Carl Vickers. We're on board with Carl now. Tipping it into Cascades.
Oh!
Getting very close to the tail end there of the steel frame machine that is Langley's. Goes past him, but here is your race leader then. Well, they're just going past John Wright, who is the steel frame championship leader. Hobbling around at the moment, just trying to pick up any available points. Rob Goodall will close the gap down on Harrison, but it will only be, in this race, 8 points. So it'd still be 32 down.
There's still quite a big cushion back.
Oh, and another big look over the shoulder there from Windsor. I don't think is he going to let him through or not? This is fascinating. Across the line then, Windsor. There he is.
He's mighty close.
He's cruising.
Does he
he's cruising. No, checker flag goes out. Well, he takes the win. It was really bizarre, that. I can't quite work out whether... I'm not even sure if Andrew Windsor could make up his mind what to do there. But either way, he wins the race and takes the double points, 50 for him. 40 for Rob Goodall. He's still up ahead of the main men. Richard Harrison, championship leader. He holds on to that championship lead and, in fact, extends it over Luke McRae, finished 4th. Ian Lawton, 5th. Steve Chadwick in 6th. So, interesting stuff in race 1. Here in the Golden Era Supersport. Over in the steel frame, Mark Biswell, the champion of last year, was the winner from David Langley and Nick Turner. It's all to play for still. Let's see if we get more intrigue and interesting action in race 2.
Are you ready? Showtime. More bang for your buck.
Hello and welcome then to race 2. Ian Lawton on pole position, number 12. Second on the grid, the race winner from earlier, number 6. That is Andrew Windsor. Third on the front row, Richard Harrison, number 49. Two of these guys from the front row didn't make it to the podium earlier on. Obviously, Andrew Windsor certainly did. But the championship is very, very close indeed. Richard Harrison at the moment is in control, number 4. But Rob Goodall is the man to look out for here, number 5. And Luke McRae as well, number 16. How will this pan out? There are still double points on offer. 50 for the win, 40 for second, 32 for third, 26 for fourth, 22 for fifth. So there are big points to be won and lost here as it gets very close into Old Hall Corner between a number of different riders. I think Rob Morby was caught up in that as well. Lawton it is that leads then in the early stages from Rob Goodall. Not a good start this time around from the race 1 winner, Andrew Windsor. Doesn't get away off the line quite so well there from second. Here is the man on pole then. He leads from Goodall. McRae has got off to a brilliant start. And there are the two brothers, Jonathan and Richard. Jonathan at the moment just up ahead of his brother and unaware, he actually just closes the door on Richard Harrison going into Shell. That is one thing that he definitely won't want to do, is wipe out his brother in a double points race, because Rob Goodall, his pace suggested in race 1 that he's probably just got the edge over Richard Harrison here in this one, but it was close. That said, Harrison did get the fastest lap of the race as Andrew Windsor now starts making some moves. He's up past Luke McRae and he now closes in on Ian Lawton. Now, what Windsor could do here is become the most perfect wingman, as Syd was talking about earlier, to Rob Goodall if he was to sit up behind him in second, because it would take another big chunk of points away from his rivals. Can he protect his mate here in a rather crucial situation? Rob Goodall is away with this.
Well, all he's got to do, actually, is engage in a battle. You know what it's like when you're scrapping with each other. You know, you fall back, don't you, and it lets the front runner escape. That's all you've got to do, is engage in a battle.
Further back there is Sam Nicholson, John Wright again. We were talking about him. Syd, he's not he's not going to score massive points, but he is going to score. That's the most important thing for him. Although, if David Langley were to win the steel frame here, number 65, and John Wright was to finish at the tail end, and I think there's only 5 runners in this one, in the steel frame, we've lost a few, I think the gap would be in and around the 26-point mark going into the final round.
Oh, he's just trying to mitigate the damage, isn't he?
Trouble is, will he be fit when we get to Donington?
Well, it's hard to say, isn't it?
These points he's collecting could end up being rather crucial. Of course, you'll be able to tune into the final round at Donington next month. Here's your race leader then, Rob Goodall. Andrew Windsor has closed up on him.
The other thing is has Dave Langley clicked on what is going on?
Yeah, 100%.
You know, if he has...
These riders don't turn up here, Syd, without doing the math. They know exactly what's going on here. There's no doubt about that. Langley knows he's got to finish. If he's got any chance at all of winning this championship, he's got to finish and win. Here's Richard Harrison then, championship leader in the Golden Era Supersport at the moment. but he will not want to be where he is right now. He needs to make up a few places. He wants to be ahead of Luke McRae, and ideally he wants to try and get a little bit closer to Rob Goodall and Andrew Windsor.
I'll tell you what, just a thought just crossed my mind. It wouldn't be hard, would it, with all of the machines that we've got out here, to call this the Golden Era R6 Cup.
No, it wouldn't, would it? Yeah, the R6 Cup, of course, a championship that wasn't it being documented on Channel 5 or something like that at the
Rob
time?
McElnay, wasn't
That's
it?
it.
Let's put it together.
The Virgin R6 Cup, or whatever, Virgin Mobile R6 Cup,
That's it, yeah.
run by Rob Mack. Cal Crutchlow made his name in that after winning the Super Team Championship, but Tommy Hill was, of course, the winner.
Yeah.
And he won himself a ride in the British Superbikes the year after. Of course, went on to become British Superbike champion as well. Yeah, it was a funny old championship, that R6 Cup.
Yeah, it was where there was a huge tent erected, wasn't there? And everybody turned up and just got on. It was like throw the keys in the pot job.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely.
Load of mechanics turn up, but that was the later model to these, not the 5EB that we're looking at here.
Well, we're on board with Carl Vickers again. Great shots here of his R6, but at the front of the race it's Rob Goodall, and he is where he wants to be.
He has got the wingman with him, look.
The two men, though, that are chasing the championship are there also. Number 16 there, yellow R6, Luke McRae, and Richard Harrison, number 4. It's rather interesting, isn't it? They're all together, they're all there. Steve Chadwick here tries to close down on Sam Nicholson. That's for 10th place in this race. Into Lodge Corner we go. Richard Harrison's got past Luke McRae, and so he'd extend his lead further on Luke McRae, but the damage is being done up ahead of him.
I've got a funny feeling. It looks almost like Rob Goodall has given Andrew Windsor a bit of a slap about for taking that win off him. It looks like he's staying behind like a good boy at the moment.
Well, is intercom allowed in racing?
No.
I wouldn't put it past that anyway. Yeah, I wonder if he will indeed find a way of getting past him. Let's have a look and see what happens. There's David Langley, number 65, up ahead of Chadwick on circuit. So, at the moment, as it stands, Rob Goodall is to take 50 points. His mate Andrew Windsor would take 40.
The wingman has got to be known as the wingman from now on.
He will be, won't he? I mean, it does look like he's holding himself back a bit.
Who was that? I forget. It was Ice, wasn't it? Iceman. The Iceman. Do you remember? In Top Gun, it was the Iceman. It was Maverick, and the wingman was, well, he wasn't his wingman. I think Maverick was actually the wingman in the end, but it was the Iceman, yeah. So we could call him Ice.
I think we've already established that I'm not really one to talk about planes in this one, so...
Well, you get on enough of them.
Here's Carl Vickers then. He's still involved in a brilliant battle here, just as we go over Clay Hill and up towards Druids. But it's Goodall still, with wingman Windsor just behind him. I mean, these are crucial points. I cannot emphasise that enough. Luke McRae has just dropped out of contention here. There he is in 4th.
But, look, is Harrison actually drawing up on these two?
He is catching them.
See, this is the trouble. If they're farting about...
So they're definitely not farting about.
Well,
I would imagine that Rob Goodall is probably racing as hard as he can at the moment. I mean, they are on very close to lap record pace here. But it's going to... Andrew Windsor's putt is crucial. There's no doubt about that. He didn't necessarily help matters in race 1 for Rob Goodall,
No.
but he might here in race 2 because...
Well, yeah, you know he's got a black eye, yeah.
Coming into this race, Richard Harrison's lead,
Look.
number 4 over number 5 Goodall, was 32 points, and as it stands, if checkered flag were to go out right now, it would be just 14 in it.
Wow.
Going into Donington Park.
14
That's a massive difference.
with 100 on offer.
Yeah.
Goodness me.
There is Vickers again, just being passed by Sam Nicholson.
Good lad.
These two having fun out on circuit.
Sam's been around that for a long while. What a brilliant ambassador he's been for this class.
Well, he's just a generally lovely guy as well,
Yeah,
isn't he?
yeah.
To have around the paddock. He's been racing around for some time now. But there is Sam, who we were just talking about, ahead of
Vickers.
number 87. Here we go then, at the front. Luke McRae's out of this. 4th is the best he can hope for. It's just between these 3. Rob Goodall, Andrew Windsor and Richard Harrison. Now, Luke will probably want to try and prove me wrong with what I'm about to say, but Luke is going to need a huge Donington Park. There he is across the line. He is really going to have to switch it on over at Donington, is Luke. Came into this round only 5 behind Harrison, but he's losing ground to Harrison, and as it stands, he'll actually lose second place in the championship as well to Rob Goodall. But that changes if Andrew Windsor pokes his nose underneath him.
Makes you wonder if Richie Harrison is thinking, do I attack these two, or what do I do here? You know, because potentially you could throw it all away, couldn't you? The little cushion he has got.
It's a tough one, isn't it, mentally, because you're right, he might be thinking, well, I know I'll have a championship lead if I finish here, but the thing is he'll have a bigger championship lead if he's able to attack these guys and find a way past. They're on the limit, that's for sure. Richard will pounce if he can, there's no doubt and no question about that. He knows the significance and the importance of this one. There's his brother, Jonathan. Jonathan is a bit further back in this race. He's battling there for 8th with Steve Chadwick. Here is 315. Ashley Thompson. Chadwick and Jonathan again. In the battle for the steel frames, it is still David Langley that has the advantage there. He's embroiled in a battle with Nick Turner. But Langley is set to cut the gap down quite a lot to John Wright overall. But what about Golden Era Supersport? Harrison on that lap, maybe just losing a 10th or 2 to both Goodall and Windsor.
This could end up being about stamina, this race, you know, because the 10 laps around here is quite a long race, and the sun's out, so they're feeling like, you know, they could stretch their muscles a little bit.
Jonathan Harrison moving up ahead of Steve Chadwick now.
Beautiful, isn't that a beautiful sight? Well, so well kept. You've got to give MSV one thing. They do keep nice circuits, don't they? They have put a lot into the circuits around the country.
They certainly have. It's a great place to come racing, is Oulton Park. Now then, these guys are dropping Richard Harrison, Syd. Harrison's just running out here of speed at the end of the race. Is he accepting, 3rd place and the points?
Well, if he was going to give up completely, you'd expect him to roll right off, wouldn't you? Because, you know, he's got a fair gap to the next guy. So, you know, to Luke, well, I'm saying that, you know, you can't really roll off in front of Luke McRae, can you?
No, not really. Maybe he's run into some problems. Maybe he's got an issue. Hard to say. But his lap times have just dropped off a bit in the last couple of laps, so it's hard to pinpoint from where we are, obviously in the commentary box, exactly what's happened there. But Harrison, just by staying in 3rd, will be the championship leader. But that gap down to 14, his brother there, Jonathan Harrison, unfortunately just running straight on. A shake of the head. He'll rejoin, probably not too far away from where he was. That's the advantage of that particular area and that runoff. Over the line we go then, and now Harrison really has waved the white flag. Across the line we go. He's a good 2 or 3 seconds off his best lap there, was Harrison. Rob Goodall then has got 1 lap here of Oulton Park to stay ahead of his mate Andrew Windsor, who has really been perfect for him here.
Yeah.
14 points between these guys going into the next race. Luke McRae, by the way, despite being a bit further back as we look at Rob Morby, is not out of it, but he has lost ground to Richard Harrison overall in the championship. Where was he in race 1? He was 4th behind Harrison. He's lost, I think, about 16 points, something like that, is it? No, 12 points he'll have lost here today, so he'll only be 17 points down himself. There'll be 17 between 3 riders.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Going into
after
the
all
final
those
round.
races.
After all of those races. Can't remember exactly how many there's been in total, but, well, it wouldn't be that hard to work out. There's been 7 rounds with 4 races. So that's 28. Plus these 2, 30 races. 30 races, and there'll be 17 points between 3 going into the final round at Donington Park. Looking forward to that. One of the few championships that really is
Who needs
on a knife
podium
edge.
credits?
No comment, no comment. Across the line we go then. Checker flag is out. Brilliant win there for Rob Goodall. Andrew Windsor actually stuck in the fastest lap of the race towards the end there. Rob Goodall, though, you can see how much it means to him. He's done what he needed to do here today. Richie Harrison will remain championship leader, though. A really plucky ride there to stay ahead of Luke McRae, and 3rd for him. McRae's 4th, Morby 5th, Ian Lawton 6th. Now we see the top 3 boys then. Goodall, Windsor and Harrison, and in the steel frame you can see there the race winner David Langley ahead of Nick Turner and Scott Wakefield. So then, championship standings, are the maths right? Yes, they are. 17 between 3. Brilliant stuff. Harrison, Goodall, McRae, numbers 4, 5 and 7 all go at it at Donington Park. 4 races for them. In the Steelsport, well, that's closed up, hasn't it, as well? 26 points now in it for the Steelsport Championship between John Wright and David Langley. Well, you're not going to want to miss the final round, are you? Donington Park Championship wide open. We'll see you there next time.